it's like nobody's on the map. Where does the team think they are? And so I think there was maybe a breakdown in ultimately what VBO's comms were like. Like I just don't know that they were able to execute. I'm a little I'm afraid to use the word disappointed because it's only in game one. So we'll pump the brakes here and say it's only a game one, but they got those few kills, and then it was like that was it. Like their game plan was just Kindred ganking top, they get a few kills, and there was no other team fighting plan or mid plan to bail out the Zoe or plan to like just work around the rest of the comp. And so going in this next one, I want to see sort of we talked about the ease of execution for Lotus. I think we might need a dose of some of that for VBO.
Yeah, I think that we definitely do. And to follow up or almost build on that, I think that we need to know where we're playing to. If you're Jimmy coming off the back of that game, maybe you want to play carry again. Maybe that's where you want to be. But I think that they could do with some supporting of the mid lane, supporting Prophet on the Zoe, because he looked really aggressive. And he was almost always doing it alone. I remember specifically a fight in the river there, using the roam that Walnut had given him to secure jungle priority for Jimmy and push Volibear out of his own jungle. He then instantly died to Orianna in the mid lane in an incredible fight, but it's those sorts of aggressive plays that if you prop them up can make you start to win a game. And if you start drafting with Prophet in mind here, I think that there's a chance that Vlad Banners only can pick up those edges that instead they were giving over to Lotus this time around.
Yeah, and I love that you hinted at that because they end up playing the game basically through Jimmy, which I don't think was ever the plan. And if the plan was to play through Prophet, they never found a way to get back to it. And so I think if they can make that roadmap a lot more linear of, just the Zoe didn't work, that's okay. Just go on to something maybe that's a little more comfortable, maybe pick a jungler that's a little more friendly to that. Like it felt like in the late game, they just didn't have a way to set up around it, right? Like if you feed a Volibear, you're going to just continue to just literally jump on everything. When the Kindred got fed, they just they didn't know how to set up team fights so that she could go after the backline. It felt like she was always just shooting the tanks through the immortality. It was like you're not going to get through them in time. Like you're not that fed. You're not building to be that fed that quickly.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so like definitely playing through Prophet, I think is going to be a much wiser choice here.
Yeah, and I think that part of that, the building issues that we had touched on, came off the back of not understanding the role of a Kindred in the team composition as well, not understanding what needed to be propped up there, and it was a lot of consistent damage they were looking for Kindred to bring to the table, and Warrior Black Cleaver aren't bringing you those things. It's a lot of help for the team, but not if that team has a Jhin on it. If you have a Xayah as your AD carry, maybe there's a reality where bringing the Black Cleaver Shred really does work, you get some early burst in, but against that team composition, it really wasn't feeling right. But to turn that around, we're getting into pro draft here, and we'll see if we can get maybe a little bit more presence out of Vlad Banners only. Already starting with the Vlad ban, so at least I'm happy.
Yeah, right on cue. They're sticking to the name. It's funny, honestly, coming into this, I kind of forgot that that's their shtick. Like, you would think, like, it jumps right off the screen, but it's like, all right, yeah, Vlad ban. They're actually going to do that.
Yeah.
But I like the Yuumi ban, too, though. They're getting rid of some of these Healy champs that are just, like, kind of a pain in the neck to deal with, generally speaking. But yeah, and I'm really impressed with Lotus. I want to just return and kind of hype on them quick. Like, I was really impressed with how they played that game, and I know that one dragon fight went a little bit longer than I would have wanted. Like, you have Baron, you have all the gold in the world, and you're still not like quite able to set up the fight wholly. And so that's the only part of that game that made me a little bit leery. But like generally speaking, they played a really clean game.
Yeah, they did, and I wanted to bring it back a little bit because we have the Bard and Set ban as well. Bard, obviously a targeted ban towards the side of Vlad Banners only, but the Yuumi and Hecarim as well are targeted. I like the first pickup here for Vlad Banners only. It is the Caitlyn, which is going to be a takeaway from Alistar, who looked very, very strong, even in 1v2 situations, escaping with his life against Gates and Walnut, trying to set up plays on him, managed to play that backline Caitlyn very well, and now is going to have to try out a little bit of a different look.
Yeah, and you're going to be going to an Ornn and the Braum, so I like the double up here once again. And the Caitlyn pick, it worked out so well for Alistair, but I wonder how that fits with what VBO was running. And we got a taste of that actually in Twitch chat. Gates himself saying that the Jhin felt like an int to him. So maybe this is at least someone he's more comfortable on going into this next game.
Yeah.
But you're gonna need to find a way to play around it. They're gonna put a Lulu. I was gonna say they're gonna put the Lulu with him, but it could be a top Lulu. So I'm not gonna say it just yet.
That's true. It very well could be. I really want to say this because I think it's really funny. I think the Caitlyn ban is almost better because now that you see Ornn Braum locked in, now it prevents VBO from locking in Jhin like they did last time. That's the true power pick of being able to lock in an actual AD carry that won't sort of feel bad in the face of tanks. Speaking of not feeling bad in the face of tanks, though, Cassiopeia certainly fits on that list. I like the grab here. Once you know that you're going to have a lot of health to chew through, it's going to be good for VBO to be able to do that. And Cassiopeia, also somebody that you can feel very good about playing around.
Yeah, and I'm going to double check here to confirm what I'm saying, but I believe in past weeks, VBO has run a lot of Cassio, and I think that's someone that, one, just like speaking in general, like you can play around your mid laner being on that Cassio a lot more, and I think if they've done it in the past, I like that being the move that they go back to, because Zoe very clearly was not working in that lane, but I think Cassio is going to be a much more comfortable pick for this round.
Yeah, and I think that the movement away from Zoe also gives us a movement away from the way that the team fight will play out as a whole. I expect for VBO that we see a tank jungler, we see a tank top laner, and they try and just bring this to a battle of front to back, because you've got Lulu, Caitlyn, as well as the Cassiopeia. You're going to scale late, you're going to be able to chew your way through a front line, and that is what this composition theoretically can do best. I don't even think that Lotus have to worry about the last two picks because they're not going to be about lane. They should be about securing that team fight for later. It's already very strong. Whereas Lotus now, they need to come up with a way to challenge that engage and maybe give themselves a little bit of a way in, say with something like a Rakan, for example, that they wouldn't have otherwise in a straight front to back.
Yeah, and I'm going to walk back one thing I said. It was Lotus that's picked Cassio in the past, not VBO. So maybe that's partially a pick to take away. Maybe. But going to be playing the Syndra is sort of a bad time. And rounding out the bans here, Lotus going to ban away the Kindred and the Shen. I like the getting rid of the Shen because I think that could disrupt a lot of what they wanted to do with the Ornn and the Braum, just keeping them as frontliners. You get rid of any globals there.
Yeah.
And it looks like we might just see a Caitlyn Ashe bot lane. We are going to.
Yeah, and the support matchup is the one that I'm most interested in. Like I said, the Rakan I think is going to provide you an immense amount of value here. I think that the Kindred ban is a bad read on the draft. You're not. I don't think you're recognizing what VBO are good at and what they want to do. If you pick a Kindred here, you're giving yourself no front line. But I do also want to point out there, now that we see the Olaf Trundle lock in, I fully expect this Trundle to go top lane into the Ornn. That's the matchup that I would pick. I think that Olaf not necessarily favored there. But I got to remember that Crooked Serpent for Lotus has his most games on Ornn. This is one of those, when I don't like to draw too much from solo queue, but when I go through the op.ggs, I like to check out and say, does anybody have a terrifying amount of games on somebody? And there's a terrifying amount of games on Ornn on Crooked Serpent.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And going with a Trundle is very interesting, especially in this ELO. And now, Grant, you don't see a whole lot of Trundle, outside of pro play, just because of sort of how tricky he is to play. Just really, like, if you don't get that pillar perfect, it's quite literally useless. But when you are able to execute it, it's honestly beautiful. So I wanted to see a little more ease of execution. I actually think this comp is harder to execute, but it might be a level of difficult that they're more comfortable with, if that makes sense, right? Like they're picking, last game they chose Grape, this game they're choosing Cherry, and I think they might like that a little bit better. It seems more palatable to what we've seen from their play style in the past.
Yeah, and I think that what really stands out to me about this composition is the fact that every single person, be it from Trundle to Cassiopeia, have their own job to do in a team fight. It's not just stand there, it's not just be a meat shield. Everybody can have their highlight moment here, and I feel like that's what VBO as a whole was looking for last time, even with Jimmy on some, little bit of odd positioning going into, let's call them 1v3s during the split team fights there. I feel like it was more looking to optimize what is your champion, right? Looking to take the damage to the opposition on Lotus. And right now, VBO, I think every single one of them have the ability to do something game shifting and team fight shifting, more importantly. Whereas Lotus are going to have to play perfectly to deny that from Vlad Does that make sense? I feel like I've misconstrued that a little bit.
No, I think that makes sense. And honestly, now that I had a second to even just stop and look at these drafts, Lotus's just makes so much more sense in my head than VBO's does. And I think that's gonna be a really, really big problem for VBO, because we saw in the last game, right? We saw VBO get the 4 kills on Kindred, and then just nothing happened. It just kind of fell off a cliff, and whatever, it didn't work out. But from Lotus' side, if you give 3 or 4 kills to Graves, you just have a fed Graves. You just put him in a team fight and you win it. If you get kills onto a Syndra, she's gonna roll in a solo lane. If you get whoever gets kills on their team, it's a very easy execution. With Kindred, it's we have to get her to the back line and then ult and then do these other things. And oh, by the way, she's the only one with any kills on the team. I think Lotus's draft, I think they came out with a much better game plan. It's a little meta-y, so it's sort of like a cop out, but I think it's a really good draft.
Are you seeing that Olaf is top?
We are seeing that Olaf is top.
That's concerning to me. This concerns me greatly.
So I actually expected it to go there, believe it or not.
What?
Yeah, and I don't know why, but
okay.
I think Trundle top would have been an even bigger int than Olaf top, although the two of them together is kind of janky to me. I don't love it. I really don't love the combination. I don't know if they practiced it or if they really thought about it. But I'm not a huge fan of what I'm seeing right now, and maybe they prove us wrong. I mean, that's why I think it's easy for us as analysts and even as viewers to look at a draft and be like, okay, game's over. But they still have to do the thing on the champion and press the buttons with these picks and actually make it work somehow.
Yeah, I think that right now, looking at this draft, even though I agree with you, I don't necessarily like the Olaf pickup here. I think it's troll into Ornn. I think that the individual champions, key being this game, are responding to what Lotus are doing. And this is something that we didn't see last time. I felt like Vlad Only was very much playing their own game. And this time have responded to what Lotus have. I like their composition. I don't like Olaf, but I like their composition, and I see what they're thinking with the Olaf. I want to say that Vlad Only, with the fact that they've had that wake-up call of Game 1, now looking at the draft of Game 2, they've taken intentionally into Lotus, I think they walk away with this game and bring us to that third.
Ooh, okay. I actually wasn't expecting that. Okay. I know I came into this hands down VBO. I'm flip-flop. I'm going to flip-flop here. I think Lotus 2-0 now. Simply because I don't know that they're gonna actually even if they get this Olaf or Trundle fed and do this 3-0, 4-0 start again. The last game just didn't inspire confidence for me that they can actually finish the job, and I don't know that this team gives them enough chutzpah, enough engage to actually make it run. And so I'm a little concerned for them, but I'm excited to see it play out. I haven't actually seen Olaf and Trundle together before, at least not in Heavy League, but I don't think anywhere. So this is a special treat for us tonight.
Yeah, we'll see what the execution looks like, but I am in favor of it. I want to send this over to our casters, though, on the other side, because we are taking down that spectator delay, and we like to give them a little bit of time to sync up and make sure that they're bringing you guys the best viewing possible here for the second game of Vlad Only versus Lotus. We'll see you after the games.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the XLNC Heavy League. Here on the Week 4, we're bringing you Lotus versus Vlad. If you're just joining us, Lotus Esports take a surprising victory over Vlad banners only. And now, before I can even introduce myself, both of these teams are looking for blood, Mr. Beatdown. They're looking for something very, very early here. 5-man on 5-man. Gonna be the initial engage. I can't even describe what's gonna happen here, but immediately the first blood finds its way over on the side of Vlad banners only. Dunzy's looking pretty low there. He's gonna be forced to flash out. He barely heals to live there. You did see a kill as well land the way of, my apologies, Lotus, as they did find that onto Crooked Serpent, taking out Stingus. It's a 1-for-1 though.
It's 1-for-1, but this is not an equal trade. Zephyr Prophet on this Cassiopeia immediately grabs a kill, which is a great start, although Prophet starting Doran's Ring is a little bit interesting. Had he started Mana Crystal, I think he would have been able to... Nope, he didn't get First Blood, so it probably doesn't even work out. But still, Cassiopeia gets a kill. We love Cassiopeia. We love when Cassiopeia gets ahead. You love it, especially if you're Vlad banners only. We were talking about it, and of course, Dia and Paul were talking about it as well. Lotus, once again, have crafted in my opinion, this is just a flawless team fighting composition here. Chef's kiss, front to back. We can't love it enough. I'm not going to spend any more time talking about it. Vlad banners only, it's overall solid. I have the same question mark, though, the Olaf top, and it makes me wonder, what is Jimmy going to do in terms of jungle pathing here? Do you want to play through this Olaf who only has early strength? But at the same time, wouldn't you want to keep your Cassiopeia ahead? Wouldn't you want to get your Caitlyn ahead as well? That's my question.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward, though, Sting is taking advantage of the early pressure, going to be pushing out Crooked, even though he got that first blood gold and gets himself the early ruby crystal. We could potentially see the move up from Jimmy. But before we even move forward, I just want to remind everyone that I'm Zephyr, your play-by-playing. This is Beat Down My Color, and we're really happy to be here.
He said my name!
Exactly. Either way, you've already got Jimmy up there. I don't think a gank will come through. It's a bit too early, and a dive here really wouldn't work out, especially since they don't have all of the available tools, since 3 is just barely hitting right now. But maybe later, Beatdown, maybe later.
Maybe. But overall, we actually see an early invade coming out here from Jimmy. He is going to go ahead and... Nope, that's not, it's not him stealing. It is him stealing the crux.
Yes, it is.
Katsuki didn't... I'm just confused, because I was expecting a full clear from Katsuki, but it's looking like he doesn't end up grabbing his Krugs. He wants to make sure he's there for the bottom. Scuttled pings coming out from Jimmy. Well read means that he's warning his bottom lane that he's going to be there bot side. Overall, it's just going to be a 1-for-1 in the Scuttle trade. Whereas you see Stingus is winning out for the most part in these trades using that early game power. But now that Jimmy's level 3, now that he's got the Scuttle, I want to see him be active around the map. I want to see him make some plays, specifically mid and bot lane. Again, Cassiopeia, late game hyper carry. Caitlyn, late game hyper carry. Please play through it. Please.
The really simple fact is that all you need to do, put the gold in your carry and then play around your carry. I will say these win conditions for the teams. Oh, wait, hold the thought. Jimmy coming up top here with the pillar, finds it very nicely on the Crooked Serpent, but his damage just isn't quite there yet. Very nice gank to start off. Meanwhile, Dunzy here going for the engage here on a gate. Gonna get that concussive blow stacked up. Presence of the Sun coming through as Katsuki lands with that blind. He finds the kill there in the bot lane as well. A fantastic rotation from his end.
And see, this is already a great start for Lotus here. Jimmy using time top lane to try and kill Crooked Serpent. Honestly, it doesn't end up working out in his favor. And Jimmy, you're Trundle. You're not going to be the late game hyper carry. Again, Vlad banners only need to recognize their win conditions here. It's this Cassiopeia and this Caitlyn. While he's failing to get a kill top side, his ADC gets killed in the bottom side. Unfortunately, has to take quite a bad back. He's only able to buy the Kerch's Shard, and you have tier 2 boots off the bat from Alistair. So Lotus already off to a wonderful start here. Complete control on the bottom side of the map. And you can imagine that after he picks up those Krugs, Lotus, they're going to make their way straight to the Drake.
I will say, definitely potential here for that movement. Looking at Katsuki, especially yeah, the movement. This guy is on top of things as a whole. So the Drake, no surprise, especially since it's up. He is on the top side, so I'm wondering if he's going to pick up, maybe make a movement towards Stingus first here, give some blessings over to my main man, Crooked.
True.
Either way, I will say, looking at VDO's comp, they have this kind of backwards mentality with Prophet and Gates wanting to kite. Ooh, hold that. Sky of the Week on to Prophet there. Great job. The Miasma, he's got the Unleashed Power, but he doesn't have the mana to pull it off. And that's a bit of a shame because I was pretty sure that was JBL's kill. Further away.
Okay. Yeah, JBL been having a really good series. Has the Corrupted Pot, might be able to get it done, but unfortunately isn't going to bother with it. Is going to just recall as it is the Cannon Wave. And interestingly enough, nobody's actually taken the Dragon yet. Overall, it's just been pretty quiet outside of those two ganks here, but JVL is back in the mid lane, has a bit of a couple of purchases coming through here, so you got to imagine this Syndra is going to be a little bit more threatening, but Prophet also has the tier, which cannot be understated. That's pretty much the point where Cassiopeia becomes a champion. Level 6 tier of the goddess. So you got to imagine Prophet is going to have a little bit of agency in the game now, just a bit.
Just a bit. I would like to see the agency of Prophet now combined with maybe a gank from Jimmy, and then
please,
we'll
yes,
maybe see a kill.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Throw that out there. Little cherry on top of the cake.
It would be cool. But right now, Jimmy, he's just farming. And to my question, Jimmy, what you doing, bro? I know that red buff is tasty, but
we'll wait till
than
6.
Gold.
We'll wait till 6 to judge him, all right?
You're right.
Leave him alone.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the gank of the bot lane from Katsuki. This guy doesn't wait for anybody. Luckily, though, Gates has flash this time around. He's going to be able to find his way out of that one. So looking all good for him. But with Katsuki bot lane, looks like a surefire Cloud Drake.
That's right. No flash on the Caitlyn means instant pressure on the bottom side of the map, especially because you know Katsuki is going to be farming for the Drake. But look at that. Crooked Serpent says, Thingus, your early game time is up. Almost solo kills him. Good God.
Is it really early game? Because it's literally 7 minutes. The guy's sitting on that first blood. He's got the Bramble Vest, which is a phenomenal start to run into Stingus. I would kiss you on the lips with my Italian mouth if I could see you right now, Crooked Serpent. Fantastic buy. Negates everything Stingus is looking to play around, but he's crazy. It's 755. You're not supposed to be losing that hard as the Olaf at this point. You're definitely not going to take a fight. I never thought the 1v1 was going to come through, but you had a little early contention, just a bit for a couple minutes. It's over now, though. It's already over. I thought it was going to end like in 15 minutes, not 8.
Yeah, but like you said, that Bramble Vest came out. Level 6 has come through, and Jimmy, honestly, nowhere to be found outside of that very questionable play topside earlier on. And that's it. Crooked Serpent knows he is a big, powerful god now who Stingus can't really contest anymore. So hopefully, now that Jimmy is level 6, you talked about it, Zephyr. I want to see the plays. Go somewhere, please. JVL, he's been having too much fun this series. You can't let that happen. Why don't you go shut him down? Oh, Alistair, somebody, do something. Please. Let me see it. As much as Beatdown's incessant whining can get him to move, sadly, it's going to be up to him to find those plays himself. That's
and
true.
Even if he doesn't make a gank happen, team fight-wise, he does have Subjugate available, and that could really ruin the day for whether it be Dunzi, Katsuki, or Crooked Serpent at any given point here. That could be good. That could find their way into some of these team fights, give them a high fronting point to play off of, and maybe even give the power that Jimmy needs to sustain and be the mega front line that gets Gates and Profits some of these early game kills. So start maybe moving towards a team fight presence if you want to see a kill, even if you're not looking for a gank.
Yeah, that's right, and you already, as you said it, it's already happening. Jimmy is making a shmove for the Rift Herald, and that's really good because if dropped in the mid lane, is going to do really well putting some gold into Prophet's pocket. One of the people we talked about who desperately want some of that gold here. But hold on a second.
Ragnarok, what's called a Forge God, that great flash to keep Stingus alive, and he's doing a great job just baiting out Crooked Serpent as he gives Jimmy time to finally arrive. And with the Pillar of Ice coming down there and Stingus just landing through with the damage, Jimmy finally finding that kill in the mega shutdown there onto Crooked.
Yeah, and as long as he doesn't drop the Rift Herald here, things are going to be fine, because that is a good gank. Don't do it, don't do it.
No Enchanted Crusader, no Glacial Fissure, the concussive blows do stack to stun the Wild Growth's not enough! Alistair picking up the kill there on the Gates, even though Gates dodged it all.
And that is huge. Katsuki so active in this early game, giving Lotus all the leads that they need in that bottom lane, and you can see how far ahead this Ashe is starting to get. Is getting closer and closer to that blade of the Ruin King. But I just want to really talk about this quickly. Zephyr, he used the Herald topside. Why? Give Prophet some plates. He's just sitting there farming by himself. Help him.
I will say it's a bit sketch to just shove that towards top. It's quick. You're getting it right out there, and that gold is going to land towards Stingus, and hopefully off of that Black Cleaver. They've got a plan now to utilize Stingus. He's got teleport. He's got rotations. We could potentially see him teamfight presence. Ragnarok is one of the few things that will actually allow someone to get towards this back line. So maybe, but I cannot agree with you more with the fact that seeing some of that gold find its way or funnel towards Prophet, who's looking a bit worse for wear, but still not quite out of it, being that light at the end of the tunnel here, or maybe even the bot lane if you're so blessingly graceful. But it looks like they've got top laner in their eyes as Jimmy comes back for a return gank, and Crooked Serpent with that Black Cleaver on the line is just shredded. Jimmy finding another kill now. So, there you go, beatdown. They got a plan.
Yeah, I'm starting to think Crooked Serpent owes Jimmy money, because that has got to be the 9th gank across 2 games in the early laning phase. It's just unbelievable how much time he's spending up there, even though time after time, Stingus isn't really the late game win condition here. And again, Vlad Banner's only not really playing towards the laners you want to be playing towards. Instead, it's just Jimmy and Stingus versus the world, apparently. But, oh my god, wait, great
fine gaze there, Katsuki, but the teleport's coming through. He's ground on the Miasma, but he's not going to go down. Crooked Serpent through and through with a great call. The Forge God, but he's going to be knocked up before he can get it back. And Stingus, with all of the help, finally finds his presence into these fights and obtains that kill there. And now, with all this for there, they're going to start up the Drake. Alistar's putting the pressure down, though. Walnut is just bursting through. JBL stepping up. He's taking advantage. Unleashed power for the double kill. Prophet moves back in, but he knows it's too late. His major supports are all taken down. And in a turn of fates, Lotus take the Ocean Drake.
And this is so big for Lotus, because now they've given themselves 2 Drakes already here, and it's going to be the Infernal Soul with a great front to back. Their damage dealers in Alistair and JBL could very much use that little bit of extra damage here, but that fight was something crazy, Zephyr, because Alistair wasn't actually part of that exchange, so Lotus kind of lose out a little bit, but the damage from the Syndra, from the Ashe, was enough to dissuade them from getting off the dragon, and Katsuki's like, oh, thanks for leashing the dragon, guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish that off. Okay, bye.
My just general thought process there after Crooked Serpent dies, okay, that's your major front line. You still got Dunsey, so you're still a little bit okay, but Ornn is such a pivotal point to play around as Lotus's team comp kind of revolves around making sure he is your heavy protector as well as Dunsey. But either way, he's down. And suddenly you're thinking, okay, team fight's relatively older. Vlad Banner's only come out on top here. Great job, great movement. Yeah. That was a fantastic fight. Lotus doesn't care, dude. Lotus says, front line, the best defense is a great offense, man. We'll blow you up before you can hit us.
That's exactly what happened here. Now look at the lead that they've given themselves. Yeah, sure, they're only ahead 400 gold. But again, we talk about gold allocation for both of these teams here in Lotus. It's in all the right places. 2-0 on your Syndra. Your Ashe is 1-0-4. Has finished the Blade of the Ruin King. Is really starting to come online here. If you look at this now on the other side, Stingus and Jimmy have most of the kills here. Prophet does have one that he got in the very beginning, but besides that, it's just your top laner and your jungler. Again, not allocating the golds where you really want it to be. So I still consider Lotus in a really good spot right now, but Alistair, he's not.
Yeah, Alistar looking pretty worse for wear here, running towards that alcove. He's only going to find Trundle on the other side. Even though he tries to use the blast cone, it's going to be nothing as he finds his hands into Gates. Finally, a kill over to this Caitlyn. getting some carry potential back on the board for Vlad Banners only. And oh, I cry for Prophet. No petrifying gaze today, buddy.
Quite the tragedy. The Archangel Staff is completed for Prophet, though. Is going to continue to stack that one up. Hold on, Flash Scatter of the week.
Ooh. Yeah, he's able to get that on top of Gates, but not before the Flash and Wild Growth come through, and this is why you use Lulu. But Lulu gonna be punished out for the blessing of a sacrifice given forward there. They're gonna give that one over to JVL, and much paid respects there. God bless you, Walnut. May you rest in peace. You did your best, and you got Gates out of there, and that's all you needed to do.
And it's worth noting, too, Lotus are going to trade by getting that mid-tier 1 turret, which is actually quite big for the side of Vlad Banners only. This means now they can push that midway further, makes it easier for them to contest objectives here. You can see Stingus was looking at the Rift Herald, but Alistair's ever so helpful Hawkshot reveals that intent. Man, Alistair, he's a little brazy, as my boy Ravishing Ravish would say. Walking alone in the jungle as an ADC, it's a little scary.
Yeah, Alistar, though, does have Dunzi on his end to make sure he doesn't quite go down to anyone's initial attacks or presence, so he's okay. But JVL and Alistar playing pretty forward for the 2 carries here. That's something I would say a bit of a fault, because you never want your carries to be the ones that leads into fights here. And now Alistar being too far forward, caught out. That Ragnarok is going to make sure that he gets Stingus in the backline. The Flash is going to secure that one as Alistair goes down. Dunzi now looking worse for wear as he's getting burned through by Prophet, but it's actually going to be JVL pushed back here. He tries really hard, but the Lulu shield saves the day there. He's finally going to be burned through and through, but a great call of Forge God to turn this all around as Katsuki finally arrives. Wild Growth to stave it off for Walnut just a bit longer, but the double kill still finds its way through and through. Lotus turn around a fight that was looking bad and brings it to a 2-2 off that one.
And now this is a much more back and forth game between both of these teams, but it's still Lotus who are always managing to answer back. Every time a situation seems really bad for them, Zephyr, they manage to even it out or sometimes go over. At this point, you can see the gold margins are exactly the same, 30K to 30K, as teams are going blow for blow. But oh no, he gets back on a ward.
All right, I hope. No, he's got Bramble Vest, so it's going to be looking pretty bad for him.
Wait a minute.
Oh, okay, they use heal. Gates uses heal to make sure Stingus lives. You're a nice guy, but that's down now for the next fight there, so I hope you know that's the sacrifice you give up, especially with Infernal being on the board.
Yeah, the problem is, those Stingus is the back. He is TPing in. He's actually going... No, he is going to TP to the mid lane, but they might just burst the dragon right here.
Jimmy's going to come through there, try to find the steal. They do find the steal. Stun's coming off here as Prophet looks to capitalize. Katsuzi looking low, and he gets burned through and through. They look to follow through. Stingus finds that kill. Alistar, though, can't run away from the Ragnarok, and deep in the backline, he's going to be taken out by Jimmy's Crooked Serpent. Is the only one left alive into the river there, and that's 4 kills for Vlad Banners only, as they finally unleash the team fight presence that we've been waiting for.
And Vlad Banners only find the fight they needed. And not only that, that's 3 kills all of a sudden in this Cassiopeia's pocket. Zephyr, she's going to be so very large and in charge, sitting on so much gold as it is already completed the Seraph's Embrace. Now this is the win condition Vlad Banners have needed to play for. And as long as your whole front line's dedicated to protecting Prophet, Vlad Banners very much have a way to win this game. They're 3,000 gold ahead, and they are going to take that second Rift Herald.
Yeah, I will say, giving Stingus the presence early game, we did see 2 or 3 of those ganks come from Jimmy, which we kind of thought, well, that's a little weird. Why would you throw Jimmy in the top lane to get Stingus some presence there? It goes back to the concept that Olaf, without much of an early lead, especially since he's not in the jungle, doesn't really do much. The fact that he found his way onto that Black Cleaver, the fact that he's making his way towards that Sterix Gauge, extends the lifeline of this Olaf out and gives him more potential to run through these team fights, find his way onto JVL or Alistair, and make sure these guys are locked down and killed before your initial carries Prophet and Gates have to start making their moves. That's to say, he's done his job now. He can fall off. He's already gotten the 4-1 kills on the Prophet. You did good. Congratulations, Stingus. You could fall off as Olaf, and it's going to be sad, especially as Ornn items come online, but you've earned my respect early at least.
You know what? You're right. He did rather succeed in his job here. Now that's it. Cassiopeia's online. This Caitlyn is getting pretty close to 2 items as well. Looking to build that Infinity Edge as a second item. Vlad Banner's only, they're strong right now, and all Stingus needs to do, like you talked about earlier, is that get into the back line with that Ragnarok. No one's going to be able to stop him here. None of the big CC abilities or ultimates from Lotus even matter when Stingus flashes onto your AD carry and absolutely obliterates them. So that is more or less what Vlad Banners are playing around there. That possibility and this Cassiopeia, because she is huge. Look at that. Leandre's Torment, a Fiendish Codex building towards another item, probably going to be that Banshee's Veil with that Spell Shield. Going to make it even harder to actually do anything to this Cassiopeia Zephyr.
She's got Cleanse too.
Oh my god, I'm getting worried. I'm starting to worry for Lotus.
Yeah, I will say though, Lotus does have the ultimate scaling comp with the fact that ornaments are going to give that initial big boost of 3,000 to 4,000 extra gold towards the end of this. And Ashe, while we haven't seen much come out of Alistair as a result of Stingus being in this, the longer this game goes on, the quicker he's going to be bursted down, the less time he will have to rip through this back line. And at that point, we may see JVL and Alistar start to push back, which will be really, really important here. Because, you know, they're the carries, and if the carries do the damage and win the game, that's how League of Legends works. There you go. Big take for you, New Jersey boy.
Whoa, hold on a second, Zephyr. You should be a color caster, bro, because that was some pretty high tier analysis there.
Thank
sure
you.
Everyone in time
I'm Iron 4.
First of all, that's not true. You're like gold 3, probably
Don't
because
lie.
you get boosted, but you know,
Whoa, all right, big boy. Get out of my face.
I can't talk. I'm gold 4, but regardless, you're exactly right. The carries of Vlad Banners only and Lotus are basically at odds now. Whose team can enable them more? Because you're right. Once Alistar gets that 3rd item, that's just going to do a lot of damage as well here. Oh, hold up a second. Prophet.
Run away, serpent.
Yeah, he didn't want, he wanted nothing to do with that.
I gotta ask, what kind of snake is Prophet? Like, what kind of snake is Cassiopeia? Like, are we talking
I'm
like
pretty sure she's a
boa
Gorgon.
constrictor? No, not that. I'm talking like, like, is she a python? Is she a boa?
Okay, it's got to be a venomous snake then, because she essentially kills you with poison. So python doesn't work. Yeah, rattlesnake works. Cobra.
Yeah, but she doesn't have the tail of a rattle. Whatever. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. Stingus is going to be pressured out to use Ragnarok, which is great for Lotus here, especially with the Infernal being up. They don't have that tool, and they have to make a move onto this dragon now, knowing that it is down. Those traps are going to come out from gates here to pressure them quickly off of this Drake as they're going to try to burst through it. This is the best chance Lotus have to find a successful fight here.
Stingus also lost his Steric's gauge and is now on cooldown.
Huge engagers. They get an insane burst off of Prophet, and now Jimmy looking worse for wear. The Subjugate going to be keeping him alive a lot until he is forced to flash, and Lotus do exactly what they needed to. They realize the cooldown is down. They realize that their carries is enabled. They chain the CC, and they secure the next Infernal. And I love the response from VDO. They immediately go for an inhib. That is... oh my god, so big brain.
It is, and Lotus are showing us why we sing their praises as the best team fighting team we've seen so far here at XLNC. They managed to find the engagement onto none other than this Cassiopeia, get them out of the situation, and at that point, for Vlad Banners only, you just turn tail and run. You don't want anything to do with this. And Lotus, they're at soul point now. So every dragon that comes up is a problem for Vlad Banners only that they're going to have to solve. Is it going to be Dragon? Is it going to be Baron? Is what they're going to have to deal with in these next couple of minutes here. And we got some key itemization coming in for Lotus as well. You see the Leandre's Torment on JVL, so very strong. And at this point, it's all going to come down to execution. Both of these teams can do so much damage to each other, but who is going to land that CC? Who is going to catch out the carry first is the question.
Well, speaking of catching out the carry, much to Jake Kelton's point here, as he's fangirling over it. A fantastic arrow from Alistair there. The flash forward from Prophet instantly canceled through and through with the Enchanted Crystal arrow, just shutting it down. He was just absolutely shredded through afterwards. I have to say, though, Beatdown, it's crazy to me that such a pivotal point here is Stingus. Stingus says Ragnarok.
Yeah.
The Vlad Bears looks great. Ragnarok down. Is suddenly win condition gone? Question mark. I will say it was a pretty bad engage there from Prophet, and it did lead to a very worse for wear team fight. But you looked at how scared the positioning there was from Vlad Banners, knowing that Ragnarok was available, and you're like, is that their only pivot point?
It's starting to feel that way, but at the same time, I don't think that's necessarily true. You do have avenues in, but if you're Prophet, you got to understand, you're like the president of the United States here. The rest of your team is your secret service, maybe except for Gates. The whole point is, oh, you want to face check that bush? Don't do that. You got people for that. You got to ensure your safety here, because when Prophet does it, you see what happens.
That's pretty bad there. Petrifying Gaze down now from Prophet. They tried to find something on the Dunzi, of all people, and it comes out moot, and that's going to be down now. He's going to get that up pretty quickly here, and it just extends a bit of a timer out, gives Lotus some freedom to work around the top side of this river, maybe even clear some vision, push out these waves, give him some better presence around Baron.
That's right. Although, it doesn't seem like anybody's trying to do anything about it on the side of Lotus. Prophet, it's going to have that Petrifying Gaze back up very, very soon here. And as I accidentally close my scoreboard, there we go. I kind of like the build path we're seeing from Jimmy here. He's actually going to build a Zeke's. Who did he bond that to? He bonded it to Gates, which is going to be interesting. So when he does use the Subjugate, you're going to see Gates do a lot of extra damage in these team fights here.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Pretty works for him. I mean, he's got the burn on top of him, and I mean, he's got the slow, the rain, whatever on top of him. That's going to come through because he's deep into that back line. That's going to work out pretty effectively. I think it's a decent pick, especially if you need to keep your major carries alive. So, you know, I don't think it's poor itemization at all.
No, yeah.
I almost thought that was going to be an engage, but they did a fantastic disengaging. But Jimmy coming through with the flank there off that ace in the hole. Dunzi getting shredded. He doesn't have quite the tank, and there's a great teleport there, but maybe not, as he just gets absolutely bursted through to turn around from BBO, forcing themselves to use all their CC to back off this one. And now with their major front lines down off of that insane damage, that's going to be a secured Baron for Vlad Banners only.
And here's the thing, Zephyr, they're going to be able to take it so quickly. They have so much damage in this Caitlyn and Cassiopeia. There isn't going to be a whole lot to be done. Lotus, though, you can see they want something, potentially an attempt here for the steal, but it doesn't actually come out. JBL trying to kill somebody, but he's just going to have to walk this one out. I don't think he could have done anything.
Yeah, no. Not quite.
Hot take.
Thank you. I will say, Dragons up in 30. Sadly, Ragnarok will be up by then, so if you want to pressure it out, you've got all the tools available on your belt to make that happen. So it's going to be a pretty hardcore 50-50 here, and if Lotus do take Infernal, great. They set themselves up to deal with this Baron as efficiently as possible. If they don't, they're just giving more power over to Vlad to make their way through this game one step at a time.
Well, they do have control over the pit here, so Vlad Banners could look for a fight. All the abilities are
Knockout coming through there. There's the Ragnarok finally coming through. Great Scatter the Weak deep on the back line, but it's going to be punished out as you see the front lines get absolutely shredded once again. Burned through and through. Serpent and Dunzi out of the fight.
Stingus SDP. Oh no, I think we lost Zephyr, but Stingus TPing in might spell the end of Lotus here as they get the dragon and they're running their way through, but it looks like Lotus is going to be able to walk this one back. I think they won it actually on the side of Vlad Banners only.
Oh, Jimmy. He's able to get the pillar off. Stingus, mind you, does not have Ragnarok, so he's going to be stunned out there under turret. He's going to be forced to use the stopwatch to survive for a bit longer. Great juggling there from Vlad Banners only. They sadly don't pick up the carries this time around either way, but that's going to be a turret in the mid lane for Prophet, playing off the confusion there.
But if you're Vlad Banners only, God, that's hard to say, you're really happy about this one. You get the Baron, you clear out the entire jungle of Katsuki, and you manage to expose that mid inhibitor along with denying the Dragon Soul. You have a lot going for you right now. A 6,000k gold lead and so much pressure on the map. You can see they are placing wards all over the place while also clearing vision. And it is just suffocating right now to be Lotus. You can see these ornaments are coming through, but Crooked needs to hit level 15. He needs to give Alistair that Molten Edge.
And my biggest, like, wow, I sound
Right?
crazy right now. Thank you. Words, either way. The front line here from the side of Lotus is your main presence. You need to make sure that Dunsey and Serpent get off their CC, secured onto profiting gates, and then you have the burst come through from JBL and Alistair. Here's the problem. Even if Stingus doesn't get in your backline, you have full warrant and clear to go through. Serpent and Dunsey are just absolutely getting... They're gone. They appear, they maybe get a CC chain off, and then they are gone. Zoink. It sucks because right now that is such a massive point of contention that Lotus is not able to play around. We do see Molten Edge come out though for Alistair, so hopefully that changes something.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. Lotus right now are basically confined to being just outside of their base, trying to farm as much as they can. They're lucky that no objective is on the map right now, but if you look at these timers, they got about 2.5 minutes before they have to venture outside their base into the wilds to face the potential danger of Vlad banners only, who they're just out there waiting for them. They're just waiting in the trees, waiting for someone to step just a little bit too far, and they're just going to pounce on them because it's tough. The Vlad banners only, they're so ahead right now. It's going to be you're going to need a catastrophically good team fight for the side of Lotus if they're going to be able to get back into the game here, pick up some of these shutdowns, get some more gold in the pocket of particularly JVL as he is getting closer and closer to the death cap, which I'm sure is the item he wants upgraded by Ornn.
Oh yeah, crazy thought.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hey, look, man, I've seen professional players get Luden's Pulse, and then like 2 minutes later, it's like, wait, you just bought a death cap. Why?
Okay, very true.
You know,
Yeah, alright, you're stemming it out. I understand, you're right, whatever. Colored be color. Either way, we're down to a minute at this point. You've got Baron and Dragon rotating onto the field here, but the vision is nowhere in Lotus's control, and they're fearing for their lives in the practice of going out to contest in any format. After all this, Vlad banners have gotten some major resets on the board, securing more supportive items for Jimmy, now sitting on the Knight's Vow, which I believe more than likely is going to be pushing towards gates, and then additionally having the completed Death's Dance on top of Stingus just makes it twice as hard to shut this man down as he launches onto your backline. So it is just, it's getting harder and harder here for Lotus.
and you already talked about what Lotus have to do, Zephyr. It's all about the CC chain, Enchanted Crystal Arrow, Call of the Forge God. To, if nothing else, buy yourself time to kill Stingus, who is just running it down into your backline. And with all the items he has right now, who's going to stop him? You have this Lulu applying these unreal amount of shields as well, meaning that Vlad banners only have complete control of this Dragon Pit here. They're clearing out vision, no problem. And Lotus, there's nothing they can do. They might actually have to let this Dragon go. If anything, because it's not Soul, I would actually threaten the Baron.
Baron is up, and they definitely could get early presence onto that one, but it looks like they're going to contest as much as possible here, and they've sealed their fate, and they're going to take a bit of the trap there as Crooked Servant takes a bit of poke. Dragon's finally on the field here, and Vlad banners only are, of course, going to rip through this as quick as possible. Yeah, they've got gates on top of it, just peeling it out. Meanwhile, Stingus and Walnut just making sure no one can step through. Yeah, just walks out. Jimmy's going to flash forward off of this one, steps off that. Great blasting cone to disengage the fight, but no call. The Forge God finds its way into anyone, and immediately Crooked Serpent is down. Now Dunsey's trying to escape off this one, but Stingus is going to follow forward with the flash, but it's going to be the 50 caliber net follow through that picks that one up. Meanwhile, bot side, Katsuki's going to be ripped through, and now Alistair and JBL, your main primary carries, are the only ones left alive, and there's nothing left to defend off of this base. You just have to walk it one step down at a time, BBO.
And it's so tough for Alistair too. He's trying to clear the wave, trying to protect Inhib, but what's he really going to do here? The flash out of the week.
Out of the week, but the wild growth is just too strong,
damage.
and Profit is absurd. Ace Null coming through to take down Alistair to help out, but Alistair's able to get through. But the flash forward from Walnut to get the double off of this guy. Gates, and now with the 2 major carries down, 10 seconds left on everyone here. That is going to be the game for Vlad Banners only. Dunzy's just stepping up here to the plate to give it one last shot, but he knows to return to Fountain. He's going to be seeing us into the 3rd game here as Vlad Banners only brings us to a 1-1 tie.
And Vlad Banners only, the team we were expecting to have more of an easier time, are confident Lotus are banning Olaf, which honestly, that hurts me.
Well, I'll tell you what, I really can't answer that question, especially since I've only got
What's the
maybe
question they're
2 or 3. Wow, you are mean. Either way, throwing it over to the analyst desk because they've got more than 3 brain cells. Passing it
True.
over to give them some insight on maybe why that game went off for Lotus.
All right, let's see. Thank you so much to Beatdown and Zephyr for another glorious cast of what was honestly a really, really back and forth game. That was difficult to watch at times, I'll say, Paul. But I'm wondering, they've thrown it over to us with a little bit of a question, right? What is it that ultimately lost the game? And I want to hear your take on what is sort of that final nail or the deciding variable in your opinion.
This game, first, I want to address the back and forth. This was not a good game of League of Legends. I don't want to give any sort of idea that I think to the contrary. This was a lot of really, really sloppy play from both teams. And while I am impressed with the game that we had here from VBO and their ability to ultimately close it out, I really thought that was a sloppy game. Now, to the question at hand here of the deciding factor, they played this Stingus and Jimmy duo top jungle really, really well. I ultimately thought it surprised me.